South Africa's political landscape has entered a new and unfamiliar chapter, one that is quietly reshaping how power, accountability, and transparency function in Parliament. Since the new parliamentary term began in June last year, lawmakers have been under unprecedented pressure, and the ripple effects are now being felt across government. At the center of this shift is the Government of National Unity, or GNU, which emerged after the historic 2024 elections stripped the African National Congress of the parliamentary majority for the first time since democracy. The ANC secured just 40% of the national vote, forcing coalition politics into the heart of South Africa's governance. One of the earliest and most intense tests of this new political reality came with the national budget. In March, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana tabled a controversial proposal to increase value-added tax by 2%. The reaction was swift and fierce. Opposition parties, including the Democratic Alliance, rejected the proposal outright, arguing that it would deepen the cost of living crisis for ordinary South Africans. What followed was a prolonged budget stalemate that dominated Parliament and gripped the nation. For months, South Africa stood on the edge of fiscal uncertainty as negotiations dragged on behind closed doors. The deadlock only ended on 23 July when the two largest parties in the GNU, the ANC and the DA, finally reached a compromise. Instead of the proposed 2% VAT hike, Parliament approved a reduced increase of 0.5%, with an additional 0.5% planned for 2026. The revised budget passed with majority support in the 400-seat National Assembly, marking one of the clearest signs yet that consensus politics rather than dominance now defines South Africa's legislative process. Ironically, the drama surrounding the budget overshadowed another major political moment, President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address earlier in February. While the speech was broadly welcomed by most parties, it was rejected by the Umkhonto we Sizwe Party and the Economic Freedom Fighters, underscoring growing ideological divisions within Parliament. But the budget was not the only issue heating up the political environment. Serious tension emerged around an ad hoc parliamentary committee tasked with probing explosive allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mhlanazi. His claims of criminal infiltration within law enforcement and the justice system triggered intense scrutiny and renewed debate over corruption, state capture, and institutional decay. These developments are unfolding within a parliament that looks very different from those of the past. For the first time, opposition parties are not merely challenging government from the sidelines, they are actively shaping oversight from within. Committee leadership, once dominated by the ANC, is now redistributed across the political spectrum. This redistribution has fundamentally altered accountability mechanisms. The powerful Select Committee on Public Accounts, known as SCOPA, is now chaired by Rise Mzansi President Songezi Zibi. His role places him at the center of monitoring government expenditure and holding departments accountable for misuse of public funds. At the same time, Build One South Africa leader Mmusi Maimane chairs the Standing Committee on Appropriations, a position that gives him significant influence over how public money is allocated. The committee also serves as a platform for citizens' concerns about government spending to be raised directly in Parliament. The Democratic Alliance has also secured key oversight roles. Ian Cameron chairs the Police Portfolio Committee, Joe Magloire oversees Sport, Arts and Culture, Bridget Masango leads Social Development, Jan de Villiers heads Public Administration, and Leon Basson chairs Water and Sanitation. The Freedom Front Plus has also gained strategic ground, with Leonard Jones Basson and Wouter Wessels chairing Water and Sanitation and the Standing Committee on the Auditor General, respectively. Together, these changes represent a structural shift towards stronger checks and balances. Opposition parties no longer see themselves as outsiders. Instead, they view their role as co-governors, sharing responsibility across both the executive and legislative branches of the state. Supporters argue this has strengthened transparency and reduced the likelihood of unchecked power. Critics, however, warn that coalition politics could slow decision-making and dilute accountability. What is clear is that South Africa has entered an era of genuine parliamentary oversight. Laws are no longer passed by default, budgets are no longer rubber-stamped, and political leaders are increasingly being forced to justify their decisions under intense public and parliamentary scrutiny. As the GNU continues to evolve, the real question is whether this new balance of power will deliver better governance, cleaner administration, and tangible improvements in the lives of citizens, or whether internal tensions will undermine stability. One thing is certain, Parliament is no longer predictable, and for the first time in decades, that unpredictability may be exactly what democracy needs.